The best game week 28 wildcard. 11 players in blank game week 28, 14 doublers with bench boost in double game week 29, double game week 31 is 5 doublers, and double game week 34 with 9 doublers. Let's get into it. Good day, mate. I'm FPLRoo, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another FPL video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the game week 28 wildcard and looking how it will look all the way up to game week 34. Within that, you've got the blank game week in game week 32. You've got a double game week in game week 31 potentially, and a double game week in game week 34 potentially. So we'll start off by looking at the game week 28 wildcard team. So in goal, I have gone for Kepa. So I can't even say his name, Arrizabalaga. So the benefit of playing the wildcard in 28 over 26 or 27 is the chance to really load up on players that play in both blank game week 28 and double game week 29. So this means you can get out 11 players for blank game week 28. Whereas normally teams will be looking at 9 to 10 at a maximum, and you can load up on the kind of optimal players for that game week. So yeah, like I said, in goal we've got Kepa. The sub goalkeeper who doesn't have a fixture will be Steele for Brighton. So the reason to get him in is we've seen Robert Sanchez be dropped recently, so Steele has come in and he has played the last couple games. He is only under 4 million. He'll probably be 4 million by the time this video comes out. And he does double in game week 29, which we will be looking to play the bench boost if people still have it. If not, we'll talk about that too in the next part of the video. For defense, so I have gone for Chilwell. I did put Chilwell in my game week 27 wildcard draft too. I think he's a great option. I think he's actually much better than Reece James. I know that's easier said when he's just scored against Leicester, but I said this last week. I feel Chilwell was really good, and we kind of forget how good he was for, in FPL when he was playing for Leicester. So I've gone for Chilwell, who does have Everton at home. Next to him, we've gone for Tyrone Mings. So a player like Kepa, like Chilwell, who plays in game week 28 and doubles in game week 29. Mings has a really good fixture against Bournemouth at home. Although they did just beat Liverpool 1-0, Bournemouth are one of the, let's say, easier teams to play in the league. They were 20th before they did get that win against Liverpool. Next to them, we have 2 Newcastle defenders, so Botman and Trippier with Forest away. So Forest have been looking a lot better recently, but I feel like having 2 Newcastle defenders is a good option as they do play in 28. They double in 29 and they potentially double in game week 31. So you're kind of getting a load of games just by having them in. And hopefully Newcastle can get their defence back as they haven't been looking that great recently. They have been conceding a few goals and I don't think they've kept a clean sheet for a good 4 to 5 Premier League games. So hopefully they can get that back. The rest of the defence, so Luke Shaw is on the bench. The reason I've gone for Luke Shaw is he does have a double in game week 29 and he potentially doubles in game week 34. By playing the wildcard in 28, you do get to have basically more Man United players as you're kind of already planned for that game week 28, so you're not trying to carry them through. You can kind of make an earlier transfer. So for me, I played my wildcard in game week 26. I wasn't able to get Man United players early because I knew I had to fill the team for blank game week 28, and I knew I had to have Brighton players as they doubled in 27. So with this way, you're kind of missing out on that Brighton double in 27. So you're better off kind of carrying the Man United players rather than the Brighton players. In midfield, so I've gone for Maddison. Again, another player that was on my game week 27 wildcard draft. Although Leicester haven't been scoring a lot of goals recently, he is kind of the main player for them. And I do fancy them to do well over the next few weeks, starting with Brentford away. So I know a lot of us have Raya and Rico Henry or Ben Mee. I don't fancy them to keep a clean sheet against Leicester. Next up, you've got the 2 Arsenal midfielders. Saka is a guaranteed. I think he has to be in your team. They do have Palace at home. Although they don't double in game week 29, they do have one of the best fixtures in blank game week 28. And yeah, we'll be hoping on them to kind of deliver most of our points. The second Arsenal midfield option is kind of up to you. Martinelli does look like a really good option at the moment with Trossard, Jesus, and Nketiah out. He's probably going to be playing number 9 for through the middle, and yeah, we know he can kind of get a lot of goals even from the left if he does play from the left. But I have gone for Odegaard as is a little bit safer. And yeah, that's kind of why I've gone Saka and Odegaard. The rest of the midfield is on the bench though. So Rashford, again, a guy that's on fire and doubles in 29, a really good double, and will potentially double in game week 34. Another player on the bench is Brighton's Matoma. So this team is really different to those that played the wildcard in 26, 27, because you don't have to carry the kind of them Brighton players. As you've missed out already on the game week 27 double game weeks of Brighton and Brentford, so you don't have to have their players really. Brighton players are good to have though, as they do double in 29, and they will double another 2 times until the end of the season. So it is good to have some Brighton players, but you don't need a triple up just yet. Up front, a weird front three, but I have gone for Brennan Johnson with Newcastle at home. Although I said I've got double Newcastle defence, they do have a double game week in game week 29. So again, you're getting 3 fixtures in this time frame. João Felix with Everton at home, and again a double game week in 29. And Watkins exactly the same, Bournemouth at home and the double game week in 29. You could go for Harry Kane, who has a fixture in 28, but he doesn't double in 29. So I'm just trying to kind of maximise the fixtures as much as possible with this wild card. This is kind of the reason you'd wait this long to play the game week 28 wild card, is because you can get players that play in 28 and you can get doublers at the same time. Apart from Arsenal players, all of these players, well, and obviously the bench players that don't have a game, apart from Arsenal and bench players, all of these players play in 28 and double in 29. So you're getting 3 fixtures over the next 2, and that looks really, really good over some other wildcard teams that did play in 28, 26 and 27. But now we'll look onto the game week 29 team, and we'll look how bench boost will look. So let's get into it. So now we'll look at game week 29, which is a double game week for a load of teams. And this is kind of the perfect week to play the bench boost chip if you still have it. With this team, so every player is going to count. So I'm just going to go through the whole squad. We have made 1 transfer though. So we've got Odegaard, who does only have a single game week, to Bruno Fernandes, who has a really good double game week, just to get out kind of a maximum or almost a maximum amount of double game week players. So 14 doublers in this team. A really, really good chance, yeah, like I said, to play the bench boost chip. So in goal, we have got Kepa, who has Villa at home and Liverpool at home. 2 home games, just like Chilwell, who also features in our defence. Chelsea, although they've been pretty bad this season, they have kind of turned the corner. Well, we'll see if they carry that on, but it looks like they've turned the corner with good wins. Again, going through to the next round in the Champions League and then beating Leicester this weekend, just gone. They do have 2 home games, and they have been solid defensively, even though they have been so bad this season. So really hopeful of at least 1 clean sheet in them games. We've also got Luke Shaw, so Newcastle away and Brentford at home. So a really good double game week for defenders, I say, for Man United defenders. Newcastle have been struggling to score recently, and Brentford kind of don't look the same away from home. They failed to score against Everton, just gone this weekend. We've also got Trippier and Botman. So Botman is on my bench, but as this bench boost, he does play as well. They have Man United at home and West Ham away. Man United at home will be a tough game, but I'm sure Newcastle will want revenge for that Carabao Cup final defeat. And they do have West Ham away, and West Ham have been really bad recently. They lost 4-0 the other day to Brighton. And yeah, we haven't seen the game they're going to play this weekend yet, but I'm sure they'll probably get beat. Also in goal on the bench, we've got Steele, so Brighton double game week player, with Brentford at home and Bournemouth away. Again, a really good double game week. Although Brighton have been leaking a few goals, they just conceded 2 against Leeds. You can kind of hope for at least 1 clean sheet in that double game week. The rest of the defense is Tyrone Mings, so double against Chelsea away and Leicester away. With this, you're kind of banking on him keeping one clean sheet over game week 28 and 29 with 3 fixtures. You're not kind of expected loads from him. He is only 4.3 million, but Mings can pop up with a goal every now and again. And Leicester is kind of up and down at the moment. You think they're doing good, then they're not. You think they're scoring goals, then they're not scoring goals. So who knows how that game could go, and who knows how Chelsea will kind of, if they carry on this run, and or if they'll kind of revert back to type. In midfield, you have got Maddison. So Palace away. Palace have been shocking recently. They haven't won in 10 games. They failed to score in about 5 games, I think it is. And they do have Villa at home, which, like I said, it all depends on what Leicester turn up. They either free scoring or they can't score. So hopefully Maddison is that creative spot, as I know they have missed him through injury recently, and he can kind of bring that back for Leicester. The rest of the midfield, so we've got 2 Man United midfielders in there. We've got Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, who have Newcastle away and Brentford at home. So like I said, not the best for kind of attacking players, but Rashford is on fire. You can't not have him for a double game week. And Bruno Fernandes done us so well last time round for the double game week, and was one of the highest scorers. So yeah, another player to kind of have in there as almost a punt and almost a kind of a differential. Mitoma, because a lot of teams will only be able to get Maddison or Bruno. So even for my wildcard team, I'm either gonna take out Odegaard for Bruno or Maddison, because I do have that extra Brighton player. So this is again the benefit of playing the chip later on. You might miss out on Brighton and Brentford players, but you look a bit better in this double game week. Although, having said that, Brighton's double game week does look good, and that's why we've got Mitoma in the midfield. So with Brentford at home and Bournemouth away, you do fancy Brighton to score a few goals in that, and Mitoma to get on the end of a couple and create a few too. The rest of the midfield is Saka with a single game week on the bench, the only single game week player in the team, with Leeds at home, a really good fixture for Saka. Arsenal's attack is a bit, I wouldn't say they're off form, but they have a lot of injuries at the moment. So Trossard and Ketia Jesus all out injured. We're not too sure if they're going to be back by this game week, as there is an international break in between, so they could be. But yeah, we'll find out more, I guess, later on. Up front, got Brennan Johnson with Wolves at home, Leeds away, a really good double game for him. Forest have been really good at home recently, although their away form hasn't been great. I think they've only picked up 1 win away from home this season. You do fancy him to score a few goals in that Wolves game and potentially in the Leeds game. So if you can get a return or two, you'll be more than happy with him for his price. João Felix with 2 home games for Chelsea. Although Felix hasn't kind of got the goals in yet, he has looked really it's kind of Chelsea's bright spark up front. Havertz has been getting a few goals as well recently, so maybe you could have Havertz instead. But I just like João Felix. I think he's more creative. He's guaranteed to start, as they've only got him on loan and they're paying about $1 million a game for him. So yeah, I fancy him to get goals in that Villa game. And potentially that Liverpool game, again, depends what Liverpool turn up, whether it's the 7-0 against Man United or the 1-0 loss to Bournemouth. Ollie Watkins makes up the strike force with Chelsea away and Leicester away. 2 away games, which are not the best, but Watkins has been doing really well recently. And both teams, although Chelsea have been strong defensively, Leicester, you're just not sure, again, who's going to turn up, or even with Chelsea. So Watkins can get returns in that. So yeah, this would be a perfect week to play a bench boost, as there's some really good players on the bench. And yeah, we'll look forward to game week 30, which is another game week that people may be potentially wildcarding in, so you can compare the teams, and there's more doubles coming along too. But let's get into it. So as some of you may have noticed, Erling Haaland was not in the wildcard team. So game week 30 is the week you're going to want to bring him back. You'd have money in the bank, so you can do Brennan Johnson to Erling Haaland, which is probably a must, as they do have Southampton away. And this is how the team kind of lines up for game week 30 with a pretty strong bench. So you got Kepa in goal with Wolves away, Chilwell, again, same team, Wolves away. Wolves haven't been scoring recently, and who knows, by then they might not be scoring too. With Luke Shaw, Man United have Everton at home. Trippier has Brentford away. And then on the bench for defenders, you've got Mings and Botman. So Mings has Forest at home. So that could be maybe you could play Mings over Trippier, but I just prefer the attacking threat of Trippier on free kicks and stuff like that. In midfield, you've got teams with pretty good fixtures. So Maddison with Bournemouth at home. Saka, who has a tough, well, again, we don't know which Liverpool, but Anfield is always a tough place to go no matter what Liverpool turn up. Saka, yeah, with Liverpool away. Rashford with Everton at home, and so does Bruno Fernandes. And then on the bench, you got Matoma with Spurs away, which again might not be as difficult as imagined. Depends what Spurs turn up, but you're going to probably want to bench him with other teams that have probably better fixtures. You could bench Saka, I guess, and play Matoma, but I'd probably rather play Saka just in case Liverpool don't show up. Haaland up front, Southampton away, you're bringing him back in. You're probably going to captain him this game week. I just haven't changed the captain around. Felix with Wolves away and Watkins with Forest at home. So if you notice, a lot of the players that play in 28, double in 29 have really good fixtures in 30. So Watkins with Forest at home, Maddison, Bournemouth at home, Man United, who don't play in 28, but they're double in 29, with Everton at home. Even Chelsea, Wolves away is pretty good fixture. So this is, a perfect week to kind of get load of points as well and kind of carry over them double game week players. But we'll move on to game week 31 as this is a potential double game week for two teams. But yeah, I'll let you know in the next clip. We'll get onto it. So game week 31 is another potential double game week for two teams. It is Newcastle and it is Brighton. This is why a lot of people wildcard in 26 and 27 to load up on Brighton players. But if you're watching this, you're probably playing their wildcard in game week 28. But because if you do that, you don't have to get them in as early. So as you missed one of their doubles and their other doubles not the best, I'd say, and there's teams with better doubles. But for this, you can get 5 doublers if you play the wild card and use this draft. So you'd go Saka to Solly March. By having March, you have got 5 doublers. You do double up you triple up on Brighton. So you've got Still in goal with Newcastle away and Chelsea away. And again, that is not the best double game week and it's pretty hard. Again, no matter when you play these teams, it's difficult to go to St James's Park and Stamford Bridge. In defence, you're kind of made up of 2 doublers. So you've got Botman and Trippier who have Bournemouth Brighton at home and Villa away. Again, you'd be hopeful of a clean sheet in that Villa game and potentially the Brighton game, but again, it's not a guarantee as Brighton do look good at the moment. Luke Shaw with Forest away does make up the defence. In midfield, again, we've got 2 teams only. So you kind of rely on the same teams to finish the season strong, which is not always good, but you're maximising more games by having players from these teams, and more games hopefully means more points. So you got Matoma and your new recruit March in the midfield. Like I said, with Newcastle away, Chelsea away, not the best double game weeks, but you'll see why later on why I've actually decided to triple up on Brighton. It's not just for this double. And Rashford and Fernandes with Forest away make up the midfield. The strike force is Haaland with Leicester at home, Felix with Brighton at home, and Watkins with Newcastle at home. So a lot of teams kind of play each other. So Watkins, Felix play the double game week players, and the double game week players play each other. So not the ideal situation, but hopefully that means some of your players will get points at least. But yeah, we'll move on to game week 32, which is a potential, well, it's definitely going to be a blank game week. We don't know guaranteed fixtures, but we can look at the predicted fixtures, and let's get into it. Game week 32 is the perfect chance to play the free hit. A lot of your players that you will be bringing in on this wildcard draft will be blanking in game week 32. The reason you're playing it this way is they will also double in game week 34 potentially. So you kind of don't want to take them all out for this blank and then try and bring them back in. So that's why you'd want to play the free hit in this week. And this is the team I've built, probably the optimal team currently for this game week. So Areola, West Ham's goalkeeper, with Bournemouth away. Trippier with Spurs at home. Alexander-Arnold with Forest at home. Zinchenko with Southampton at home, Salah with Forest at home, Solomon from Fulham, who's on fire at the moment, with Leeds at home, Saka, Southampton at home, Odegaard, Southampton at home. A lot of home fixtures, which is great. Doesn't carry on in a strike force, but yeah, really good fixtures too. Kane with Newcastle away. So this is maybe not an easy game, but Kane can score against anyone, I think. And hopefully Spurs are still fighting for the top four, and Kane's maybe caught up to Haaland a little bit for that golden boot. If not, you could go for another player. You could, yeah, I'm not too sure who. You could maybe go for Watkins or even Ivan Toney. But yeah, I like the sound of having Harry Kane in this week. Danny Ings, which is a big punt, but I'm sure no one will have him in his team. So Bournemouth away, really good there. And Darwin Núñez with Forest at home. The bench is kind of a mix. Don't really pay attention to the bench as, yeah, I'm sure none of these players will not start, but a chance to load up on Arsenal, load up on Liverpool, which you don't have in your team in Game Week 31 team, and a chance to kind of get these one-off punts, West Ham players that will have Bournemouth away. And also a couple punty options like Solomon in there too. So yeah, this is why I think it's the optimal time to play the free hit, if you've still got it, that is. If not, you probably want to be bringing or keeping some of these players in. So maybe you wouldn't go Odegaard to Bruno Fernandes in Game Week 29. Maybe you would have a Liverpool or bring a Liverpool player in early and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll get on to Game Week 33, where you'll be prepping for double Game Week 34. So the great thing with this wildcard draft is a lot of the players kind of complement each other. So as you can see, you've got 2 United players on the bench with Spurs away, which again, we're not saying is tough, but can be tough. And you have your Brighton players who have Forest away. But yeah, we'll go through the team. In this week, you're going to be wanting to roll your transfer just so you have 2 transfers going into potential double game week 34, where you can try and bring in some of the big hitters of the big teams that will double. You'll have a lot of them as you have prepared for that game week 2 by playing the wild card, but we'll go through the team for game week 33 quickly. So still Brighton goalkeeper with Forest away, Botman and Trippier, so playing both of them this week. You could play Mings with Fulham at home, but I fancy Newcastle defence over Villa's, to be honest. Although Emery is a good coach defensively, he hasn't really shown that yet at Villa. Chilwell with Brentford at home. Midfield sees Matoma and March face Forest away, which is a tough game at the moment, but they could be safe by then and they could be on the beach, so you just don't know. Rashford with Spurs away and Maddison with Leeds away. Up front, you have got Haaland with Arsenal at home. So just touching on that, Arsenal play Man City and Spurs play Man United. So this is why I feel like it's perfect to play that free hit in blank game week 32, as you can load up on Arsenal players. Whereas if you're bringing them in, they'd have City away. So it's kind of, you're kind of avoiding that game too. You're kind of benefiting in game week 33 as well. And yeah, up front, you got Joao Felix with Brentford at home and Watkins with Fulham at home. So yeah, like I said, Man United and Spurs play each other. Arsenal and Man City play each other. So you really don't want players from these teams, a lot of players from these teams in these weeks, as they'll probably cancel each other out. It's fine to have a couple or even probably maximum 4. But any more than that, you're looking to cancel each other out unless it's a goal fest. But yeah, we'll move on to the double game week 34, where a lot of big teams double, and we'll be going in there with 2 free transfers, so a chance to kind of make 3 transfers for a -4 and change almost half of the starting lineup. But yeah, we'll get into it. So for double game week 34, you will be having 9 doublers, which is really, really good. With this, to be able to get this, you will be taking out Joao Felix for Darwin Núñez and Maddison for Phil Foden. As Man City, some of the big teams have double game weeks, so Man United, Man City, you've got Brighton, which is again why you've kept Brighton all this time and why you've got Man United in along the way, is to kind of load up on double game week players for this double game week. So a lot of people, well, I guess the rest of the people will be looking to play their wildcard in game week 33 in order to load up on doublers for game week 34. So you'll be fighting against them. And I feel like this team is looking pretty good. The only improvement I can see is to get Salah in. You could probably do that by dropping down maybe Ollie Watkins to a 4.5 million striker, and then getting Salah in for Matoma. But again, you're struggling for the funds. You could even go Trippier to maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah, it just all depends. You with that extra transfer, you can work it, but I fancy Man City a little bit more than Liverpool in this double game week. I do think Liverpool have a good double game week, but Man City and Man United are the teams you're going to want to load up on. So let's go through the team anyway. So in goal, you have got Still for Brighton with 2 home fixtures, Man United and Wolves at home. Yeah, pretty good double game week, apart from that Man United game again, which could be tough. Their top 4 could be locked up. They could still be in the Europa League and FA Cup, so they might be rested in the Premier League. We don't actually know yet, but on paper, 2 home games, you can't complain about that. So the 2 single game week players in the whole team are Newcastle defenders with Southampton at home, which are really, really good fixture. Southampton have been doing a little bit better recently, but they're not scoring loads of goals. And yeah, I probably fancy Newcastle to keep clean sheets in them games. Luke Shaw makes up the defence with Brighton away and Villa at home. Good double game week, pretty solid double game week, especially that home fixture against Villa. So 2 Brighton mids. Like I said, Brighton have 2 home fixtures. So Matoma and March have Man United at home and Wolves at home. You're hoping for points in that Wolves game, and hopefully they can pick up maybe a goal or an assist in that Man United game too. Rashford and Fernandes in the midfield. You got Brighton away and Villa at home. Again, that Brighton fixture could kind of go either way. The way Brighton playing recently, you don't know. And Villa at home is where you're hoping to get most of the points from. Phil Foden comes into the team too. This could be Mahrez, just depending who's Pep's flavour of the month for the Premier League. If they're still in the Champions League, you can probably tell who plays the Champions League might not play the Premier League. Mahrez has been playing the Champions League recently. We've seen him dropped on the Premier League team and Foden come back in, but that could change by the time we get to game week 34. So this could be Foden too. And this could also be Gakpo as well, if you do prefer Liverpool's double game week, or Diaz by the time that comes around. So West Ham at home and Fulham away. Up front, you have got Haaland, a potential triple captain if you still got it by this stage. So is Rashford too, with West Ham at home and Fulham away. And Darwin Núñez with 2 home fixtures, Fulham at home and Spurs at home. So on the bench, all your players have got tough games. So Arsenal away for the Chelsea boys and Man United away for the Villa boys. So this wouldn't be great to play your bench boost. So this is why I'm saying play it in game week 29 if you are wildcarding this week or have wildcarded in 26 and 27. But yeah, this is how the team would look. Thank you for watching. Big shout out to FPL.team for allowing me to see future game weeks, allowing me to prepare this wildcard draft team. Definitely go check them out. You'll be able to put in your team ID and look forward to the double game weeks and the blank game weeks. And if you are new around here, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps out the channel. It allows me to grow, allows me to make more videos and produce more content that can help you climb your mini leagues and climb up the ranks too. Also, on the way out, please smash a like on this video and drop a comment below. Have you played your wildcard yet? Will you be playing it in 28? And what do you think of this game week 28 wildcard draft?